Hello everybody, we're going to start with a slip knot, and we're going to place it on our anchor peg. Once you place it there, lay it down and tighten it. Not too tight, but just enough where it's not going to come off. We're going to do a drawstring cast on. So we're going to go behind the first peg. So this is a little different than the E-wrap. So again, this is a drawstring cast on. We're going to go behind the first peg, then in front of the next peg, behind, in front of, and we're just going to follow this pattern the entire way around the loom. I always go back and just make sure I'm on the right path, so just double check your work, make sure you're behind and in front of the pegs. Every other peg should be behind and front of, and just follow that until you're back at the anchor peg. You also don't have to pull your yarn too tight. You don't want to have it too tight, or it will create problems on the next step. So we are back to the anchor peg. Now move that little tail out of the way. We're going to go behind the first peg. So here we are behind the first peg, and then go in front of the next peg and wrap your yarn the entire way around. Again, you don't want to pull this too tight because we are going to yarn over on the pegs that have two strings. So if you pull it too tight, you're going to have trouble getting that bottom loop over the top. So we are going to take our loom hook and take the bottom over the top for every one that has two on the peg. So that again will be every other peg. So see how they're divided? You take the bottom over the top and follow that the entire way around. This is the pupil of the eye, so that is why it's black. I apologize, my loom is blue. I'm trying to get it as close to the camera for you as I can so you can see what I'm doing. We are almost finished. Okay, go ahead and push down the stitches. Then we'll start our next step. We're going to E-wrap. Now the first peg is going to be empty. You'll still put one E-wrap over it. Then go to the next peg. So each peg, except for that first one, should have two stitches on it. So you will have two stitches on each peg except for the first one. You'll still want to put an E-wrap around it. You'll be adding the second E-wrap to that empty peg as we go around here. So as you can see, we're finishing. Now there's the first peg that only has one, so we're going to go ahead and add another one to it so it has two. Then we're going to knit over. So start with the first peg and take the bottom loop over the top. You'll want to do 3 rounds of black, and then we're going to cut the yarn and add our color. So remove those tails there. Cut the yarn, and then we're going to add our color. I'm going to use blue for the color of the eye today, but you can use any color that you wish. So just add it to the peg and tie it in a knot. And you can cut your strings, not down to the knot, but pretty close. Either way, nobody will see the strings because they're going to be tucked into the eyeball. Now we're starting on our color, and we are going to do the E-wrap stitch, and that's basically making little E's on every peg. So we're going to do this for 4 rows. Just continue making little E's until you meet up at the anchor peg. Then you will take the bottom over the top. So we'll take the bottom stitch over the top, and again this is the E-wrap stitch, and we're going to do this for 4 rows. So secure your yarn. Now if you find that the black is too tight, go ahead and loosen the loop on the anchor peg. Don't untie that loop yet, but just pop that loop off the anchor peg, and that should loosen up the tension a little bit. So you may notice your tension might be a little high right now, and if that's the case, just undo that latch or undo that loop off the anchor peg, and that will help. Just keep working for your 4 rows. Okay, the rows are done. Now we're going to change into the white part of the eye. All I'm doing is knotting the blue to the white, the same as I did with the black to the blue, and then cutting my strings. Okay, we are going to take and cut the blue. Then we're going to take our white yarn and again start doing the E-wrap stitch. So we're going to start doing the E-wrap stitch just like the blue and just like the black. And we're going to do the white for 12 rows. Again, we're going to do 12 rows of white. Okay, we're done with our 12 rows of white, so I'm going to take my working yarn and wrap it around the loom 1.5 times. Go ahead and give it a snip. Then we're going to work this like almost like a purl stitch, but what we're doing is we're binding off. So we take our loom tool, put it through, pull up the working yarn. So again, take the yarn, pull all the way through, almost like a purl stitch. Do this for each peg. Now I'm just going to take my yarn tool and remove each stitch off the peg. So just go around and remove each stitch off the peg. And then I'll show you what to do next. Oh, we forgot one. Okay, now let it fall. Now we'll start with the pupil. And remember that little slip knot that you made. You're going to want to pull that straight. So just like that, just pull it straight. So now we're going to tighten it. We're going to tighten the hole to form the pupil. Feed that string through the pupil, just like that. Then we're going to tighten it as hard as we can and knot it off. So we're going to close that hole, cut, and now we have a closed pupil. Now we'll take our stuffing and we're going to fill our eyeball up. Once we get the amount of stuffing that we'd like, go ahead and pull on those strings, the piece of yarn, and that'll close the hole up and form the eyeball even better. So again, just pull. We're going to cut and work the white yarn into the eyeball. And that's going to do it for our eyeball. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos like this. And I thank you so much for watching. Bye!